If you're a leader at a hospital or health system, you probably have one of the most complex compensation packages. And there's a good chance nobody has ever walked you through all of it at once. Many executive plans include 403Bs, pensions, long-term incentive plans, capital accumulation plans, and more. On paper, it looks like a lot of moving parts working in your favor. In practice, many executives never step back and ask if those pieces are actually working together. I'm Mike Worthington, a partner and financial advisor at Stonebridge Financial Group. We work with hospital and health system employees, focusing on retirement. Today, I'll be walking through a hypothetical situation, piece by piece, and talking through planning ideas that commonly come up for people in her position. Before we get into the numbers, here's a quick map of where we're headed, so you can listen for the parts that matter most to you. We'll start with her 403B and new rules for high earners. From there, we'll look at how her investments are positioned relative to her retirement goals. Then we'll get into cap plans and SERPs. After that, we'll cover her pension and Social Security timing, the gap before Medicare, and a surcharge called IRMAA. We'll close with her cash position, protection pieces, RMDs, and estate planning. It's a lot of ground, so use the chapters if you need to. I want to be upfront that this is a hypothetical, composite example built for illustration only. It does not represent an actual Stonebridge client, and it isn't personalized advice for you. Your own situation, your own plan documents, and your own tax picture will be different. Let's call her Diane. Diane is 57 years old. She's part of the executive team at a large health system and has been working at the same employer for the last 30 years. As a high-income earner, Diane is nervous about potential restructuring and how that would impact her financial plan. She is a sole income earner and concerned about how her situation might look as she gets older. Her parents passed away a number of years back and their estate is still going through probate. Other goals include retirement at 62, spending $15,000 after tax, maximizing tax efficiencies across all accounts, gaining clarity on where her investments are positioned, and ensuring she is utilizing her company benefits as well as possible. Let's paint the picture. Diane's total income is around $450,000, including her base salary, bonus, and a long-term incentive plan that recently started paying out. She has about $2.4 in total assets, including roughly $2 million in retirement and $400,000 in cash. She owns a home worth $1.5 with a mortgage balance of about $950,000, paid off at age 70. She has a pension that would pay her about $12,000 a month if she starts it at 62. Lastly, Social Security at 62 of roughly $3,000 per month. On the surface, Diane looks like someone who's doing everything right. She maxes out her 403B, has a pension and Social Security. But when we look closer, there are a handful of places where the pieces aren't quite lined up with each other. As an advisor, I use a planning tool called Right Capital that aggregates all of someone's financial information and their goals on an easy-to-understand dashboard. This allows us to identify the pain points and what suggested changes we might be able to make. Advisory guidance might be related to investments, retirement planning strategies, insurance, education planning, tax strategy, and general estate planning guidance. I'd recommend asking your financial advisor if they have something similar. All right, let's dive in. Starting with Diane's retirement plan itself, because the rules just changed in a way that matters for someone in Diane's position. For 2026, the IRS allows an employee contribution of up to $24,500. If you're 50 or older, you can add a catch-up contribution on top of that, which is $8,000, bringing the total employee contribution to $32,500. Diane has been maxing this out. Here's the part that's new this year, and that a lot of high-earning participants haven't caught yet. Starting in 2026, under current IRS guidance, catch-up contributions for certain high-income participants are required to be made as Roth contributions if the employer's plan implements the rule. However, plan implementation varies. Confirm the mechanics with your plan administrator and a tax advisor before assuming your elections are set up correctly. For someone like Diane, that means the $8,000 catch-up piece is now going into a Roth bucket inside her 403B, whether she elects it or not, because she's well above that income threshold. This isn't a bad thing. Roth dollars grow and come out tax-free in retirement. but it does mean the tax considerations for her catch-up contribution changed without her necessarily realizing it. And again, it's worth confirming with her plan administrator that her elections correctly reflect this. Beyond her own contributions, Diane's employer matches into a separate plan, sometimes labeled a TSA, or tax sheltered annuity. This is also where she's been allowed to put in after-tax contributions. Depending on how much her employer is contributing in match, Diane may have a meaningful amount of room left over to put in after-tax dollars and get closer to that combined ceiling. This after-tax bucket is where things get interesting, and it's also where Diane has been a little passive. She's been contributing after-tax dollars, but she's just letting them sit there rather than doing anything with them. Let me explain. When someone has after-tax funds in a retirement account and they go to distribute those funds, the cost basis comes out tax-free, but the gains are taxed as ordinary income. Alternatively, if the plan allows an in-service withdrawal or in-plan conversion, some participants explore moving those after-tax dollars into a Roth account, commonly referred to as a mega backdoor Roth strategy. This is an important component to Diane's goal of maximizing tax efficiencies. The difference can be substantial given investment returns and the number of years the funds are invested. As always, this is a strategy worth discussing with professionals. It's also worth looking further down the road than just next year's tax return. Under current rules, required minimum distributions, or RMDs, will begin at age 75 for anyone born in 1959 or later, age 73 for people born between 1951 and 1958. For Diane, 75 might sound far off, but the size of a future RMD is directly tied to how much ends up sitting in pre-tax accounts. Every dollar moved to Roth now is a dollar that won't show up later as a forced, fully taxable withdrawal. So the timing question isn't only about this year, it's about shaping your income picture decades from now. Now let's talk about how Diane's accounts are actually invested, because this is one of the bigger gaps we tend to see with executive level participants. Diane is an expert at what she does, but picking the right investments is overwhelming. As a result, Diane thought to diversify across a few different target date funds to reduce her risk profile. Target date funds operate by gradually becoming more conservative as you near and pass the target date of retirement. Diane has been invested across 3 different target date funds, set for 2030, 2035, and 2040. But she wants to retire at 62, so the glide path is built around a retirement date later than her actual goal, meaning the fund's likely taking on more risk for longer than her timeline calls for. Second, having 3 separate target date funds can unintentionally create overlapping exposure rather than true diversification. You may end up owning very similar underlying holdings 3 different times instead of building a layered portfolio with different strategies. Most importantly, target date funds don't know that Diane has a pension worth $12,000 a month, or that she has Social Security coming, or that she has a separate after-tax bucket sitting in cash. It's a one-size-fits-all tool applied to a very specific situation. Other options include the core investment choices, which typically span from 15 to 25 mutual funds to choose from, or opening up the self-directed brokerage option, commonly referred to as the SDBA, which opens up a much wider menu of investments beyond the core lineup. The last option is the ability to do what's called an in-service distribution. This is not available for everyone, but allows for the participant to move funds from their current employer plan into an IRA. We typically see this available to people that have moved funds into the plan from a previous employer, have after-tax funds in the plan as previously explained, and some plans offer in-service distributions at certain age points. From my experience, some companies allow in-service distributions at age 59.5 or age 65, while others don't allow for it at all. These last 2 options take a higher level of sophistication and management to make sure you're investing the portfolio the right way based on your goals and financial objectives. Most importantly, they are not right for everyone, and we always recommend to coordinate with a financial advisor and CPA before making any decisions. Hopefully this high-level dialogue allows Diane to have a bit more clarity on where her investments are actually positioned. How efficiently are the pieces to your puzzle working together? If this has been useful so far, please click the subscribe button for more content around financial planning. Next, let's move to the plans that sit outside the traditional retirement accounts, because Diane has 2 of them, and they work very differently from anything we've talked about so far. The first is her CAP plan, or Capital Accumulation Plan. This is a non-qualified deferred compensation plan, and contributions come out before tax. These are specific to certain employees and not available to everyone. That being said, if it is an option, it can be used to defer meaningfully more income than the qualified plan limits would otherwise allow. CAP plans generally need to be turned on to start contributing to them, which means Diane may have been missing a fairly significant deferral opportunity each year. The trade-off with a non-qualified plan is important to understand. Unlike a 403B, a non-qualified plan like a CAP plan or a SERP is not protected the same way. The money is generally considered an unsecured promise from the employer, sitting alongside other general creditors. If the employer faces financial difficulty, those balances could be at risk. Distribution timing is also typically locked in by elections made well in advance, so there's generally much less flexibility about when you can access the money. None of this means it's a bad idea, but it's a different risk profile. For many executives, the saving capacity outweighs the risk and can be an important component in ensuring Diane is utilizing all her employee benefits. Now let's talk about the next piece to Diane's puzzle, her pension and Social Security benefits. For Diane's pension, there may be a choice between a lump sum and a monthly annuity, and that's a significant decision around longevity and control. In future videos, I'll do a deep dive into this decision because there are so many factors that go into this irreversible decision. For the purpose of Diane's situation, let's say she goes for the $12K monthly annuity. Social Security is a separate decision. Her full retirement age is 67, and benefits can be started anywhere between 62 and 70. In an earlier video, I explore break-even points of Social Security and the true cost of 62 versus 70. For the purpose of this illustration, Diane will begin the benefit at age 70 to achieve her highest monthly benefit amount. This figure ends up over $5,300 a month. A commonly used framework is to look at Social Security as one lever among several to figure out a sequence that supports her spending needs without creating an unnecessarily large tax bill in any single year. This is an important component towards her goal of early retirement at 62 and helping her generate her desired $15,000 a month. Next is a tricky one. There's a gap a lot of early retirees don't think about until they're already living it, and Diane's plan to retire at 62 puts her right in the middle of it. Medicare. Medicare doesn't start until age 65. That means 3 full years where she'd need to cover her own health insurance through COBRA or a marketplace plan. COBRA tends to get expensive once you're paying the entire premium yourself. This is worth pricing out years before retirement. For 2026, the standard Medicare Part B premium is $202.90 a month. But if your income is above certain thresholds, you pay more. It's called IRMAA. IRMAA stands for Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount and is an added Medicare charge for high-income earners. Those IRMAA thresholds start at $109,000 for a single filer and get more expensive as income thresholds increase. Here's the part that catches people off guard. Medicare looks back 2 years, so a premium in 2026 is based on income from 2024. That means a high-income year, whether it's a final salary or a sizable Roth conversion, can show up as a higher Medicare bill 2 years later, even after retirement. For Diane, any Roth conversion strategy in her early 60s needs to be weighed against more than just this year's tax bracket. Next, let's shift to something Diane has a lot of, and that's cash. Between her base pay, her bonus, and now her LTIP payments, Diane saves about $100,000 a year between her discretionary income, bonus, and LTIP payment. Right now, she has about $400,000 in cash, including $150,000 sitting in a high-yield savings account. Having a healthy cash position isn't a problem. For someone in a senior role in an industry that's been through disruption, it's a reasonable instinct. It's understandable that someone in Diane's seat wants a real cushion in case of restructuring. That instinct deserves respect. With that being said, it's important to include cash management solutions in her overall financial plan. This includes a portion liquid for emergencies, a portion laddered into shorter-term vehicles like treasury bills or CDs, and a bucket for 2 to 3 years where growth and protection are both important. Of course, protecting one's short-term assets is important. Also important is a different form of protection: insurance. Diane has employer-provided life insurance equal to about 3 times her base salary, but group plans are generally tied to active employment. Outside of work, she has a $500,000 indexed universal life policy with a long-term care rider. This can potentially provide a death benefit along with access to funds for care costs. IULs are complex, so a periodic review with the carrier's current illustration is a good habit. This policy aligns with her goal of protecting her family, while simultaneously providing a benefit if she went into a long-term care situation. Last, let's talk about estate planning. For anyone that has inherited assets that went through probate, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is an area that's easy to put off. What matters most is having the foundational documents in place. That typically includes a will, financial power of attorney, and healthcare directive. With her various accounts, it's worth reviewing beneficiary designations since those generally override whatever a will says. Depending on her goals, a revocable living trust may also be worth discussing. Creating a trust can be expensive, so research your options. So, where does this leave Diane? She's doing a lot right. The opportunities are mostly about coordination, aligning investments with goals, checking after-tax dollars, and starting cap plan contributions, pricing out the 3-year gap before Medicare, keeping an eye on how today's income could echo into Medicare premiums, putting some structure around her cash position, and finally, getting the estate planning basics in place so the rest of this work is actually protected. For many people, the pieces are all there, but it's a lot to keep track of and important to ensure all the pieces are working together efficiently. Working with a financial advisor isn't just about the investments, it's also about the investment decisions and guidance that helps build confidence in one's plan. If this has been useful and you're curious about your own numbers, I'll drop a link to my calendar in the description. No obligation, just an intro into who we are and how we have assisted other people in your shoes. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.